to the Ascends at Boston Avenue podcast. My name is Philip Boone, and I use he, him, his pronouns.
And I'm Caitlin Drake. I use female pronouns, she, her, hers.
Before we begin, I'd like to state that the views represented in this podcast are those of the individuals in this conversation and not the official position of Boston Avenue United Methodist Church. We are recording this podcast remotely from our individual workspaces during the COVID-19 pandemic as we practice physical distancing as a church community. This episode is part 2 of a 3-part series around New Year's resolutions, as we look at ways to care for our minds, bodies, and spirits in 2021. Today's guest is Tracy Walker, who's going to help us explore the body part of our series. Tracy is an industry expert and has been for over 32 years. Welcome, Tracy.
Hi, Philip. I use she, her, and hers also, so let's go.
Okay, so we are in the season of New Year's resolutions. I know a lot of people make them before January 1, but there are also some procrastinators like myself who might take the whole month of January to work it all out. And again, maybe I'm just speaking for myself. I don't know, but my 2020 fitness resolutions did not go as planned. My gym was closed or not a space that felt particularly safe. I stress ate a bunch. Most of my walking was between my home office, my fridge, and my bed. So, this year, I'm going to be more realistic, I think, in some of my intentions. And especially knowing that COVID-19 isn't going to just magically disappear. So a really common resolution frequently is to go to the gym more. But depending on where you live and COVID-19 factors and other things, some folks might not feel safe going to the gym right now. So if you're like me and you're like, oh gosh, I need to do something, but clearly what I was doing is not an option. What are some options? Where do we go?
Man, Caitlin, you nailed everybody in 2020. What do I do? My gym's closed. How do I do this? How do I stay fit? You're absolutely on point. And then we thought magically when 2021 got here that everything would be normal. But it's far from normal. And, our industry has absolutely changed. Yes, some of the gyms have come back in some areas, but we also saw more gyms close than ever in the history of this industry. I just really want to urge people, do something, move, get outdoors. One of the industries that it's taken off is training outdoors, small group exercise programs outdoors. Guthrie Green has been fantastic for years, where they've really put yoga classes and cardio classes and boot camps right there on the green. And I really hope that we see that come back, because it's a wide open space and a perfect area to do it in. But those are some wonderful options. The other options that we have is the internet. Whether you want to personal train with somebody or you want to join a group fitness class, it's out there, and it's out there like never before, whether you're following somebody that's doing it for a love offering or you're finding a class that may be through a company such as Les Mills. They're out there. And the biggest thing I can tell you is just keep moving and don't think of what you haven't done. Think of what you can do. It's going to be 60 degrees today. Get outside the refrigerator, just move 2 blocks.
Let's say I want to be fitter or more physically healthy next year, but that's about as far as I've gotten for my resolution setting. What's the next step that you would recommend I take?
Well, Philip, really the next step for you to take is sitting down and writing yourself a SMART goal around that. What specifically do you want to do? Holding yourself accountable to saying in black and white, what am I going to do? How am I going to measure it? Am I going to walk 3 days a week for 3 miles a day? You've got to get really specific and make sure that they're time bound and realistic. you're a fairly young father, so every day starts over. And what can you do in that day to adhere to a longer range plan? You know, you're looking at 12 months. Well, that's great to have a 12-month goal, a 9-month goal, a 6-month goal, a 3-month goal, a 1-month goal. And guess what? A 1-week goal is incredibly important because that's how we make changes. And that week goal has to break down into a daily goal. So hopefully that makes sense.
It does. Thank you.
I love SMART goals. I think SMART goals are so helpful. And maybe that says something about we did a strengths-based finder for the staff, and mine are definitely very organized and structured and strategic. So that might be why I love SMART goals. But I think especially with resolution setting, when you're too vague and too general, sometimes the task seems so big that it's just hard to bite off chunks of it. And so it's easy to get overwhelmed with what you're trying to do. So when you break it down to those incremental pieces, it can be really helpful. So kind of a different switch up, but our other podcasts in this series are covering the mind and the spirit. And I kind of wonder whether resolutions around physical health might be complementary to those resolutions in other arenas like mind and spirit, or vice versa. Are there ways that we can build these to work together?
Yeah, it all really runs together. We used to take the mind and spirit and kind of put them up on a shelf as very separate goals. But through yoga and meditation, that really kind of brings it all in, and it is a part. If your body's not healthy, your mind's not healthy, your spirit's not healthy. And if there's a reason it's a triangle. If any one of those points on your triangle get out of balance, you're kind of cattywampus. So when you say, do they fit together? Absolutely. And they're critical to one another. You can't be healthy in one without the other two.
Particularly in regards to physical health, are there resolutions that you might recommend? Probably starting out with making SMART goals to become physically healthy, I would assume would be a part of it. But are there other resolutions you might recommend?
Yes, absolutely. You have to sit down and really look at what do you want to do that you will consider it successful at the end of it. And whether it's weight loss, going to the gym more, or just finding where you're at in that, you've absolutely got to sit down and start with a SMART goal. What would success look like to you? And then how are you going to measure that success and break it down? I've already talked about SMART goals, and they're so critical to this, but New Year's resolutions come in all shapes and sizes. And I really struggle with the part that it's a New Year's resolution, because every month can be a new year for us. And, it gets all the hype because it's January 1st and you've flipped a calendar to a new date. So when we talk about what are some physical things that really come up, I like to start with the inside and work out. Is there one thing that I could change in my diet? Is it giving up my afternoon tea? Is it giving up my soda? Is it trying a new vegetable once a week? And for some, just trying a new vegetable once a week, man, that brings on the anxiety. To how can I move better? I want to be able to walk up and down the stairs. For me, just having gone through a knee replacement, my whole goal for this year is to walk without a limp. Well, some people are like, oh, that's too easy, or that's too hard. It's my goal, and it has to start with me. And we're all in that, wherever we're at, is what does success look like for you, and how are you going to do it?
So kind of along that vein, I think that there are some resolutions that we almost think that we have to have because they're so common that, everybody has them. And I think sometimes those common ones may not actually be that good for us. We're just kind of any port in a storm kind of thing. Like, I know I have to have a resolution. Maybe my resolution should be to lose weight. But for me, I'm already a tiny person. Losing weight is probably not going to be actually a healthy resolution for me. So are there some common resolutions or ones that you've encountered or structures to making resolutions that might actually not be good for our physical health?
I'm really laughing with you, Caitlin, right now on that, because the number one goal I see every single day, client after client, is I want to lose weight. And that's the hardest thing. Working with a client such as yourself, I really want your goal to be, let's put on some good lean body mass, not lose weight. But in America, everybody is taught the number one goal should be to lose weight. And that's really not the goal. One of the things that I really like that we've seen trend this year is the number one goal right now in the United States is eat healthy. Well, that's very different. That encompasses everything, whether you want to lose weight, put on lean body mass. It's just a real nice complement to what we're trying to do as a society. Another one is to work out regularly. What does that mean? Working out regularly is back to your goals. It may be moving, it may be swimming, it may be yoga, it may be meditation, and meeting yourself at the level of fitness that you're at. Some people say working out regularly means, I have to go spend an hour on the treadmill. Well, that's not necessarily healthy, whether you're trying to lose weight or gain lean body mass. It's about what does that movement look like? And for some, they can have a really severe condition of rheumatoid arthritis where to say, let's identify what your move regularly or work out regularly is, it can be as little as 5 minutes, but yet they're doing something. And that's hard for us as Americans to wrap our head around being okay. When I say your workout may be 5 minutes, but for that person with that condition, that's a tough 5 minutes.
So Tracy, you started a little bit into this list of kind of resolutions that are common this year. And so some of those are definitely different from some of the previous top resolutions. Can you flesh out that list a little bit more, what some of the top resolutions this year are? And I know that you got these from kind of an industry conversation, so you're definitely more in the know than we are.
Great, thank you. I'd love to. So usually we see lose weight as number one. This year it's eat healthy. And I think that's huge because we've kind of taken ourselves back to what does eating healthy mean? And it gives us a great place to start. Because again, going back to your SMART goals, it's not taking anything, ripping it out of your hands. It's allowing you to get a starting point of what eating healthy may be for you. Second one is usually joining a gym or working out. But this year, it's got a real different ting to it, which is work out regularly. Well, what does that mean to everybody? What does working out regularly mean? Your workout regular is going to be very different than my workout regular. So I really like how in 2021, that sounds really funny, doesn't it? 2021 already. I just want to work out regularly and meeting myself and setting my goals at where I'm at. What I love is stay away from toxic people. I mean, I turn on the news every day and I'm like, oh, it's toxic. So for me, staying away from it is really trying not to turn on the news, trying not to be involved in the social media and all that. But, and also getting a little bit into the spiritual side, cleansing myself of those toxic people, but finding people that are healthy, are positive, and is really critical. This one, now nobody laughed, but it's take care of your looks. And what I really liked about this is for a lot of people, they haven't been out of the house for, we won't go for how long, but do your suits still fit? Do your pants still fit? I love this one was, can you really still wear those high heels? Slippers, 4-inch heels, stilettos. You may find some new challenges with that. So making sure you take care of yourself and how you look and checking that out, as we will get to return to our offices at some point. And we won't just be from the waist up. So I just was humored by that. And at number 5 was making sure that we're increasing our savings again. I know a lot of us dove into our savings during this tough year, the pandemic, and now I'm trying to come back to building our savings back up and being responsible with our expenditures. This one is one I'm down for. Get me vaccinated so I can do. It's travel to new destinations. And I like it because it's a twist of the old, which was just travel. But now we're seeing people say, I want to go someplace new. I need that excitement in my life. And I think we all do. And that's a key point. Number 7, learn to cook. Really? Learn to cook. Yeah, eat healthy, learn to cook. I hope for myself, my spouse learns how to cook better, because frozen pizzas do not line up with my SMART goals. But they will be humored by that. Find a hobby. What is something that truly brings you relaxation, that you enjoy doing? To get away from things. And then right behind that, to round it out, is try something new. You may like it, you may not like it, but try it, give it a whirl. I think that that's so critical for us right now as we start to branch out. How do we keep ourselves moving slow and get back into this?
Do you have any thoughts on how we can be more successful in our New Year's resolutions?
Yes, Phil, going right back to those SMART goals and identifying what does success look like, and bringing it all the way down to our daily lifestyles. Knowing what the end picture looks like of what success is for you, and bringing it all the way down. And making sure that whether it's a daily goal that plays into that, a weekly goal or a monthly goal, that they're time sensitive, they're realistic, they're measurable, and they're very specifically measurable, and that you're able to keep yourself on track. The other thing is find a buddy with similar goals. Accountability, we're human. When somebody holds me accountable, I'm far more apt to do it than if nobody's holding me accountable. Because, at the end of the day, deadlines are, let's just say they're self-imposed, or it's not like the world's going to come to an end, and we move them. But when we set SMART goals and we do that time bound, and we have a buddy looking after it with us, that we share it with each other, it just proves to be much more successful for everybody.
And I feel with resolutions, a lot of people stop their resolutions because they didn't eat healthy for a day, or they accidentally just stepped back for a little bit, and then they realize, oh wait, it's over. You can't restart it. So it's important to know that even if you took a day and did not do what you were wanting to do, you can still continue going forward.
Oh, 100%.
It's not. You have to continue. You can also just start anytime during the year, not on January 1st.
Yeah, I always say it's like a car. Just because your car didn't start because the battery was dead doesn't mean you run out and get a new car. Now, I know some people do, or they run out of gas and that means you need a new car. It's not like that. We get a new day every single day. So I eat bad for breakfast. That doesn't mean I have to make a bad choice at lunch, dinner, or a snack, and vice versa. So just keep plugging. And if you mess up, be graceful with yourself and go on to the next. Here's what I'm going to do to set myself back on track.
What has been your favorite resolution, either that you've set or that you've encountered someone else setting, and why?
Oh my goodness. I've encountered some of the funniest resolutions. I had a lady that we talked about the food, and so she was going to add a new food every day of the week. And she started with the A's, and she was like, okay, arugula today. And then she got to B, and she was like Brussels sprouts and C. And so we had this great big list, and it came down and she was like, I can't find this food. And she got herself so worked up that she was like, I can't do this anymore. It was like, hold on, there's got to be other foods with a C that you haven't tried that are good for you. But it was such a calamity that she went into a total like breakdown over, I'm not going to be successful at this goal, so I'm not going to finish it. And we did come back and find her a vegetable that fit within that goal. And so, again, it was the accountability she had, but I thought that was hilarious that we started with A to try to find a new vegetable to try. I was like, whoa, because it's tough. It required a lot of different, I can't imagine how to even cook some of the things you found, but that was fun. And then my favorite resolution that I did personally was me and my spouse, we paid a race fee into a bucket, into a savings account, and we didn't touch it until we completed the race, but we weren't going to go anyplace to complete the race until I hit a whim and was like, no, we've got to go do this race. And didn't really do a lot of research on the front end of the race. And it was the hilliest race I'd ever done in my life. And I don't know that I want to go back to Lawrence, Kansas, ever to swim in a washing machine, run and ride up hills that, we don't have hills like that in Tulsa. But our resolution was after we completed that, we would get the funds back to put towards something else. And so it was kind of fun because we knew it had to happen. We knew what we wanted to do to have it happen. And there was a reward at the end. And the reward wasn't food. And that's the other part with our New Year's resolutions is so many times we get to the end of the year and we're like, okay, if we're successful, we're going to have food. And, there are a lot more things to reward ourselves with other than food, but that could be a whole other podcast for you. But, just looking at resolutions, I really hate resolutions as a word because people get hung up on it. I think it's, what are we going to do to change our life? And how are we going to improve it? Whether it's adding something to our life to improve it or taking something out of our life that is causing some angst or negativity that just isn't where we want to be. And that happens on the physical fitness side of it as well. Whether it's having a lady that wants to be on a treadmill for 2 hours so that she can change her body, that's not necessarily a good thing to do. And watching somebody change from that being their goal of 2 hours of cardiovascular on a day to a healthy cardiovascular routine, those are huge things. And it's about setting our SMART goals whenever we feel the need to in a year, not just in January.
So do you have resolutions for yourself this year?
I do, Caitlin. My first one is to really try to focus on what we're eating as a family and cut, you hate to say it, fast food, but QT's got it down. They call my name before I ever get there, but really trying to stay away from that and staying on track with a healthier line of eating. That's really big to me this year. And then getting my physical movement back. I want to do by October a triathlon again.
Just for the facts of you saying again, that's I couldn't even imagine doing that. But I want to do it again.
Yeah.
So
well, I don't want to do an Ironman again, although that will be in my next 5 to 10 year plan. But I just want to get back into the sport this year to show myself that I can still do it.
Excellent. Do you have anything else that you would like to add, Tracy?
No, I think this is a great time of year for everybody to do a reset and reset your goals, set them, be smart with them, our set smart goals, and find an accountability buddy. Find somebody that you enjoy, that you will really hold each other accountable and not slack off from. And let's just make it the best we can for 2021 for us.
Excellent. Thank you so much for joining us today. This has been the Ascend at Boston Avenue podcast. Our producer is Alicia Urban. Our theme music was composed and performed by Wyatt Smith. Boston Avenue United Methodist Church is a progressive historic church located in downtown Tulsa, Oklahoma. Please visit our social media platforms for more information on what's going on at Boston Avenue UMC. We can be found on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. We'll talk to you next time. Thank you.